All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shir should be Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, and B'schus the Refuah Shalema Bekarov Mishalom ben Sarachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atar. Today, we are on page 244 in the Or Avigdor, for those who are following along. Last week we finished off talking about the person who's looking for this honor. He wants to make money. Why? Because he wants to be high status in society, and he wants people to look up to him, people to want to be him, people to want to, always follow him around. And that's his reasoning for wanting to have money, because he's looking for honor. That's what he wants. And today we're going to talk about what is the true source of wealth and honor. And Chovos Avavos also, he constantly, throughout the whole Sefer in Shaar HaBitachon, he's constantly harping on this idea that we have to always remember to thank Hashem. And he's going to give us some tips on how to do that in a second. But we always have to remember that one of the things that keeps us from thinking that we're the ones who make it happen, or thinking that someone else might be the one making it happen for you, is to constantly be reminding yourself that, thanking Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for this. Thank you, Hashem, for another thing. That's the whole concept of the organization and the whole following of thank you, Hashem. But in reality, when you are constantly having that idea and concept in mind, it helps you remember really where that source of income, where that source of bracha comes to you every single day. And now he goes like this, and he says, V'amar, wealth and honor come from you. It says over there in the passage, wealth and honor come from you. And that means that true wealth and honor are granted by Hashem to those people who they adopt the energy and they adopt the meanings of everything that the Torah gives us. And they seek out Hashem every single day. And they understand where their income is coming from. They understand where their health and everything else is coming from. And among those who seek wealth, there may be an individual who achieves the fulfillment of his desire with, he works hard to get that wealth. By way of means we have mentioned before, that when someone goes about and doing things, we started off talking about choosing an occupation. And what he's going to talk about over here is that the person that goes about saying that, okay, how did I make my money? I made my money through this avenue of business. And also there are people that they made money and they think they made the money from a Yerusha, or they won a lottery, or someone else's downfall. They found it some other way. And each one of these people who thinks that they earned their living, they became wealthy, they have what they have, because of a certain event in their life, because it was a Yerusha, or because they built a company, or because they have a great job, or whatever it is, or even if someone gave it to them, they think that without that individual, without that avenue, they wouldn't have had the money that they have today. And that's the mistake that Chovos Avavos is saying over, is v'yachshav, and he thinks that without this intermediate factor, without the job, without the winning the lottery, without getting the Yerusha, they wouldn't have. And if not for these factors, he thinks he would not get anything. So this person who lacks Bitachon, how his mind is set is that he thinks that his income, his source of livelihood, his wealth, whatever he has, his assets, the food that he puts on his table, maybe even bread and water, he thinks that's because of someone else or something else that happened to him. And that's what we're going to be talking about, the true source of wealth and honor, where that really comes from. And that's what a real Baal Bitachon has to think about every single day, is really, where am I getting this from? And we've said this before. We have to have Bitachon that things are going to happen. We've said before that when you have a successful business, you have to remember that it's from Hashem. But he's digging in over here, and he's trying to make sure that you understand that everything you have is only from Hashem, and that all the cause and effect system that Hashem created, the process, he just created so that you have a way of getting it. But he wants you to remember that the source who created the process, it's not the process that's the source. and that Hashem is the one that you have to thank every single day. U'meshabeach hasiba, and the misguided individual praises the factor that seems to him to have brought him the wealth. Mibal ade hamasabich, rather than the one who caused the cause. The test of a bitachon really, in this aspect, is it's not that you have bitachon in it. It's that you have to constantly remember where that's coming from. And one of the things that Rav Av says over here, he says a helpful way to thank Hashem always and to remember that it's Hashem is getting to the mode of thanking individuals as a whole. Now, we understand that even though you went to the doctor and that Hashem is the one that makes you healthy, and the doctor is a shliach, but we understand that we still have to thank the doctor. Remember that it's Hashem, but thank the doctor for his help. If someone helps you out, if someone pours you a glass of wine, Rav Av says, at a wedding, you're sitting next to your friend, and your friend pours you the glass of wine. You say thank you to your friend for pouring you the wine. But why don't you go and say thank you to the Baal Simcha? Say, hey, thank you so much because David just poured me a glass of wine. Right? You don't do that. But you're thanking that person. But the point he's trying to make over here is, if you're not the person that's outwardly, doesn't say thank you all the time, or maybe it's not just natural for you to be overly thankful to other people. So what you should do is try to push yourself, even when you don't feel it. Try to push yourself that when you have something good happen in your life, say thank you to Hashem. Even though you might not be on that page yet, that you are fully committed and internalized that Hashem is the one who did it for you. Maybe you still think that it's your job or the business deal that made it happen that you have. But push yourself to say thank you to Hashem. Look up to Shemaim and say, Hashem, I appreciate for this opportunity. And maybe little by little, what's going to happen is, once you start being more thankful in general, not just necessarily towards Hashem, but towards your friend that might have helped you, someone who held the door for you, whatever that might be, it will build your character of being thankful. And that will in turn make you be more thankful for the things you have to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and will help you realize Hashem's hand in every single thing that happens. And he says over here to finish off, similarly, this is a person who's in the desert, and he was overcome by thirst. He's very thirsty, didn't have any water. He found water that was very salty. It wasn't, but he drank it anyway. But he was very happy with it. And so he drank it. But when he went just a little further, he found spring water that was clean and it wasn't salty. Now he was sorry that he had to drink the water from before. And he says like this: so too is a person who has wealth, which he acquired by a certain difficult means through his job, his business. Maybe he lost a relative and they left him over money. He should realize that if those means were not available to him, it doesn't mean that he wouldn't have had the outcome. It just means that Hashem would have found a different way of getting it to him. As it says, for nothing prevents Hashem from saving, whether through many or through few. Now, at the end of the day, remember, we do our shtadlus, we do our part, we appreciate what we have, and what he's trying to do over here is give you a way to be appreciative, to help yourself understand and remember who really is the source of everything in your life, everything that in your life is good. And so to do that, just be more thankful. In general, not just towards Hashem, but be more thankful in general, and will automatically help you become that person who starts realizing that, yes, everything you have is because of Hashem. Now, Hashem used the cause and effect system. He used your job. He used your business. Or maybe you got a Yerusha. Maybe someone died in order for you to have it. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that the source of that is Hashem. And Hashem just used a specific avenue to get it to you that makes sense. Yes, you have to remember that has to make sense. That's the way God created the world. But your job is to remember, even though it makes sense logically, but really it would have happened either way, whether or not that person died, whether or not this was your boss, or this was the business, or that was the customer. It's irrelevant. You would have, at the end of the day, would have exactly what you have today, at this moment, and every single year that you have more or less, that's exactly what Hashem meant for you to have at that time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today, and I love you all.